Sometimes love means releasing.
Absolutely.
Sometimes love means that you have to create separation in order for the moment to be what is necessary. Sometimes it means watching those that you love struggle. It means not like the little boy and the butterfly, or you call it the boy in the cocoon, the caterpillar in the cocoon. When the little boy goes into the forest and just has this deep love for, for life, for nature, for the caterpillar, and he sees the butterfly struggling, and walks over and puts the slit in it, the butterfly, as you know, dies within an hour because he didn't have the opportunity to continue beating his wings against the cocoon until they were strong enough to break it open, which ensures the longevity of his life.
Right.
And so a lot of times what we do is we will prematurely, especially as mothers and as wives, we do this the most as mothers and wives. Mm-hmm. We step into our husband's situation, or we step into our children's situation because it pains us to watch the beating of the wings against the cocoon. We're frustrated watching the struggle because we are not connected in those moments to the higher aspects of what that process is for.
But even when you're talking, you said the struggle, and what I heard is work, because that's what we're talking about. So what you're watching is them work really hard.
Exactly.
And you're trying to make their job easier.
Yes.
Sometimes it requires work and effort, because one of the things that I believe to be true is that a lot of times you don't appreciate what you don't work hard for.
That's very true.
You take it for granted.
And the things that we say we want for free, but those are the things we disrespect the most. And
because there's no value attached to it.
Exactly. And that's a common dynamic that we find in our humanity.
Right.
People say, oh, whatever is spiritual should be free. And we have a very few, small population that really does honor it coming, seemingly without finances attached to it or whatever, and they really get it. But the mass population does not.
Right.
And so if you don't attach finances to that, unfortunately, it doesn't become anything of value, because this is why people want diamonds. This is why people want the more expensive cars. This is why people want what's bigger and better, because it's not easily attained.
Right. And I don't like to attach finances to it, because one of the things that I've come to realize is it's really not about the finance. When you say finance, you correlate that with money, but you have to attach value to it. It's even like back in the old days with the bartering system. They weren't exchanging money or finances, but they were exchanging something for something. So you had peas, I had potatoes.
Right.
We exchanged. So you get your peas and put your potatoes together, and that's really how we did it. So it's exchanging value. And I'm a firm believer in it's important for there to continually be a flow, because if there's not, if I am making withdrawals all the time, or I'm allowing someone to make withdrawals all the time, then eventually I'm going to have a deficit. I'm not going to have enough for me or for anybody else. And the scripture says that we are to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. If we don't have it for ourselves, we cannot extend that to anyone else. And so even with what you were talking about, with the situation that you had, it came up to me that we need to talk about the next key component on our list, which is respect, that comes along with humility. Respect is big in a relationship. For me, the two key components, the 1 and 2 components for me that are absolutely necessary in any relationship. I don't care if it's a relationship of intimacy, me with my children, me with my siblings, me with coworkers, me with friends. Has to be honesty 1, and respect number 2. And I want to read something here, because I wrote it down, so I'm going to read it word for word. But I feel like applying the golden rule to absolutely every area of your life, that's it. That is it in a nutshell. And I was doing some research this past week, and I found something on applying the golden rule always, but under each religion or each faith or each belief. So what Christianity states is, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even to them. Buddhism says it like this: hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. In the Hinduism, they say, this is the sum of duty. Do not unto others which would cause you pain if done to you. Islam says it like this: no one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother that which he desires for himself. In the Judaism circle, what they say is, what is hateful to you, do not to your fellow man. That is the law. All the rest is commentary. In the Native American tradition, they say respect for all life is the foundation. And in Sikhism, what they say is don't create enmity with anyone, as God is within everyone. And when I read that, I was like, we're just so divided with stuff, but at the end of the day, we are all believing the same thing. We all understand
our fundamental
what the
core
key is.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I've always stressed, and that's why people, when they have a problem with me and I say that I am all, yet I am nothing.
Right.
It's at that advanced level of understanding that not being associated to the labels. These
Not
are
being attached, right.
Yeah. These are paths and tools that we use that we're drawn to because we have a resonant feel for particular practices that show up in our life specifically to what we need in that moment, what we need in that life. Some people spend a lifetime evolving in that, but at the core, the fundamental beliefs are the same. Like I said, the spirit is in everything. And if the seeker is truly seeking source, you will always find what is truth and what is pure. Because it's really about your heart. It's not even about necessarily the word. It's not even necessarily the words on the paper. It's not necessarily about the practice and the rituals. None of that means anything without a resonance.
Right.
And so if you're not truly seeking spirit, if you're not truly seeking the purity of love and source, then you're not going to find that.
And as you're talking, I shared this, and I shared also with our viewers that someone had, contacted me as a result of the show, and they were pretty much what I got was that they were questioning where I was. But in that conversation, one of the questions that they asked me, and I want to retract right now, one of the questions that they asked me was, do you believe that there is only one way? And I said, no, I don't. But we were talking about, or what my understanding was of what he was asking me was with regards to
the actual
religion and belief.
Religion, right?
But I do believe that there is one way. And you know what I believe that one way is? Love. That is the one way. So I'm putting down and retracting what I said, that I don't believe that there is one way. I don't believe that there is one path, but I do believe that there is one way, and that is love. And all of the key components that we talked about with regards to having a successful relationship all fall under the umbrella of love.
They're all aspects, all offspring of love, and that's so true. And Paul echoes what you said, about love, because he even makes the point of breaking that down in Corinthians, where he says, and I think it's 1 Corinthians 13, where he says, you could give everything that you have to the poor, being charitable, you could prophesy, you could speak in tongues and languages, you could heal, the sick, but if in all of these things you have love, you don't have love, you have nothing. He said you're walking around like a clanging, banging cymbal. Even in all of these things that you are considering, but in that, if you don't have love, you have nothing.
At the end of that scripture is faith, hope, love. These three abide. But the
greatest of these is love. Absolutely. Yeah. That 1 Corinthians 13 in its entirety is a beautiful breakdown of so many different aspects and expressions and how love is dimensionalized. Yeah. And then it gives you a definition so that, hey, if you want to know if you're operating in love, love is not puffed up, love is not anger, it is not self-seeking. It gives you this formula, but we look at these things and we look at them loosely.
But like what you said, love is not puffed up, it's not self-seeking, it's not angry. Love is respect. And all of those things are not respectful, but all of those things we find in so many relationships. And it's so important to give, if you want respect in return, you have to be willing, prepared, open to giving respect. That is so key. That is treating others the way you want to be treated. That is not doing to someone else what you don't want done to you. There was a little thing, I could see it. It was on a very bright green card when I was younger. You know, to have all these little funny card sayings, but it said, do unto others before others do all over you. And even as a child, I was like, no, that's not what it is. Because we talk about the frequency, because the whole energetic frequency attached to that just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's how a lot of people think, you know, and they're like, I'm going to do unto others as they do unto me. No, that's not what it says. Why would you do to someone what you don't want done to you? It says do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
You know, but what is so key right here that I think that we need to kind of illuminate is that what people aren't realizing is what they do unto others, they are doing unto themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we are all one.
Because in the moment you give it, you receive it.
Exactly. And on a higher level of understanding,
yes,
that seeding is understood that I am my brother. Mm-hmm. There is no separation between you and I.
That's
in
right.
this matrix, we experience it like that because, as someone said the other day on one of the Facebook pages that I love, the infinity source is infinity infinite, literally refracting itself back onto itself and experiencing itself in a restricted manner, only to expand and evolve back into the oneness of everything that it is. Now, all of that rest was mine, just the infinity by infinite. But yeah, I mean, it's really about understanding. But I think that you talk a lot about breaking things down in the simplest form so that people really get this at a grassroots level. This is what the scriptures serve. The scriptures are there to give you the beginning, the
guideline.
The building blocks.
The basics.
And this is because until you learn that the other is you, in Lakesh, I am another you, you are another me. Namaste, the divinity in me sees and greets the divinity in you, the light in you. There's many different ways that we can break down namaste, but that's the same thing. There's a greater truth behind the veil. But for the beginning, the fundamental building blocks, if you're not there yet, this is how you start. And I think the 11 key components that was given to us has been given to us for that same reason. Fundamentally, as we begin to impart these things into our experience and to take action, to do the work in expressing them, then love will be personified. Love will be apparent. Right. Love will be present. Love will be within and without, above and below.
And it's like Gandhi says, be the change that you want to see in the world. Be it. You know, it's like when you were talking earlier with the respect and receiving what you give, you know, another passage of scripture, and y'all will find that I will go to relate to scripture a lot because I just feel it's important. Like Nai said, it's the basics, it's the building blocks. And, you know, these things are found, whether it's the Bible or the Torah or the Quran, they all say the same thing. A friend and I had an experience with that. We did a test. She opened the Quran. I opened the Bible. And, you know, I told her sometimes I use it like as an oracle, the Bible, just to get a word needed. She said, well, let me try that. And she opened up something. And I said, okay, well, let me go. And I opened up. It was the same exact passage. And that was just big for me. And God showing me, look, it's all the same. It's just worded maybe a little bit different. And the name of the book is something different. But what the scripture says, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever, whatever a man sows,
so
that
shall he
reap.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand that when you give it, you receive it. Are you giving what you want to receive? Are you the person that you would want to be in a relationship with? You know, Yonder Van Zandt, I'm gonna challenge her now. Come on, people! Gotta call the thing a thing! You know, you have to be willing to call yourself out on your mess.
You do.
Don't,
Absolutely.
don't be so intentional and focus on everybody else's mess and calling them out on their mess, because you can't fix their mess or change their mess. You have to be willing to call yourself out on your own mess. And so hence, the next key component to a successful relationship is responsibility. You have to be willing to take responsibility for your own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And your contribution to what is going on right now in the relationship. And you know, like we said last segment, nobody gets into a relationship for it to fail. Nobody starts a project or a business or family or something that they believe in for it to fail.
They don't, but a lot of people get into relationships for the wrong reasons.